One last thing, that if this question ever comes up, Jim and I have collectively been to the summit over 100 times. Okay.
What exactly is your plan?
Well, our plan is to start talking to everybody, and we have begun that process, and we want to find out whether there can be a consensus can be built on the way to create a new Summit House. And certainly we've got a great starting point. I mean, as Jim pointed out, money in the bank, plans, not just architectural drawings, but where it's literally ready to be built. But it's a very long process. Even if we had the money in hand tomorrow to build it, just the building would take 3 or 4 years, because the construction season is very short on the peak, as we look out today and we understand why. And so things have to be prefabricated here, trucked up to the peak, assembled. And as the mayor said, Pikes Peak is a rock glacier. It's not just it's not a single piece of granite. It's tumbled rock kind of glued together by permafrost. So the kind of construction demands like extraordinary care, and it demands that the structure be completely insulated from its surroundings. Ma'am?
Do you have any ballpark cost estimate?
Our ballpark estimates, based on estimates a decade ago, is 12 to 15 million. So it's not a cheap project, but it's certainly not one that is beyond our grasp. And one thing I'd point out is that the city taxpayers are not going to be on the hook for this. And look, for example, at Fort McHenry, which of course, in the War of 1812, the Star-Spangled Banner was inspired by events around Fort McHenry. Fort McHenry is a national monument. It is not funded, I can assure you. Its maintenance, its upkeep, and so forth are not funded by the city of Baltimore. So,
Really question. How did this plan hatch? How did this plan hatch?
Well, Jim and I would just sit around and talk about it and think that it was because although we were at loggerheads 15 years ago, we're good friends now, and we both agreed that something had to be done. And I have to say that the mayor is sort of the maniac responsible here, because I pitched him on it a few months ago and said, we really need to do something about it. And he said, well, why don't you do something about it? So, that's kind of like, in the Army they say you should never volunteer. But if you want to help out your city, you really have to volunteer.